This is the Critical Conversations podcast, a KPOV special project developed to feature unique perspectives and the courage it takes to go there, challenge mundane thought, and question the norm.
It's fitting that our co-hosts are women because creating community through women in business is the motto of ConnectW's website. And our guest this morning knows a little bit about that. Ginger Weeden is the owner of Set in Motion Marketing and Media, and she's the president of a women's networking group here in Central Oregon called ConnectW. Welcome to The Point, Ginger.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. So for listeners who aren't familiar with ConnectW, tell us a little bit about it and how it got started.
You know, the organization is surprisingly about 35 years old, and I've met people who have been in Bend off and on throughout that 35 years that still are just now being introduced to ConnectW. So they have survived many different economic situations throughout that time, of course, and we are stronger than ever coming out of this pandemic. So it's really an organization built for and run by, organized by businesswomen in the Bend, La Pine, Sisters, Redmond area, so for all of Central Oregon. And we have members from all of those places. And our membership spans the diversity of everything from CPAs and attorneys to naturopaths to nutritionists to gym owners, all of which are women. And it's just an amazing diversity of women, all ages. And we come together in order to share ideas, be educated together, and of course, socialize.
Well, so how do you do that? How do you come together?
Well, we have, and we're very consistent with our programming. I'm fortunate to say we have a very strong and loyal board that organizes all of these events. We have 3 events throughout each month. So the Munch and Mingle is a open to the community kind of lunch that we have currently over at the Phoenix. Next one is the March 9th Munch and Mingle, so you have the date there. And that's an opportunity for the community at large who might be curious about ConnectW to join us and meet some of the members, understand what our programming is, and just get a sense of what we're all about. So that's usually the first event of the month. And then we have a dinner meeting, a catered dinner meeting, that is later in the month on a Wednesday evening. And again, the programming there runs the gamut. We have plenty of time to network among ourselves, enjoy our guests, and then there's usually a 20 to 40-minute program that is on topics of personal development or professional development. So it's really quite lovely. And then there's a private members-only event later in the month, on the last Thursday of the month, where we typically will gather at someone's storefront or perhaps in a restaurant or bar locally so that we can network and socialize. There's no program involved, but we just represent or host by a woman who is a member of the organization. So really quite a diversity of different types of programs that we have that we offer to not only the community, but to our members as well.
Do you think that being a woman in business today is different than it was, let's say, 10 years ago?
10 years ago. Well, indeed, I've only been in Bend for 4 years, so I can really only have the perspective in the local business community for the past 4 years. And I've seen it change even in those 4 years. So I can imagine that here in Central Oregon, business has changed and business for women has changed drastically in the past 10 years. Certainly, there are so many more resources now. I have met so many women, whether they are with the SBDC or with SCORE, or there's so many organizations that are there specifically to support us and have women's specific types of programming. So we are really good about collecting all of those people together so that the resources that we have available here in Central Oregon are more visible.
How have you seen the confidence increase in women by joining ConnectW?
Oh, wow. What a great question. And one that I was going to bring up if you didn't ask. So this true strength of ConnectW is what I call generative collaboration. And it's really a form of improv. But when you think about how we network, of course, that's definitely improvisational. And the generative collaboration aspect of that is the fact that we are there to not only listen to each other and support each other, but to get new ideas. And just the simple act, in quotes, simple act of networking really helps us be more agile in our thinking. It helps us be more agile in our ideation, whether it's ideation about our personal lives or our business lives. And that communion, if you will, among women really encourages that. And I've experienced that myself. I've watched it happen among our members and our guests. And I think we're stronger for it. We're stronger individually, but also stronger as a community.
And how would you say, that, in terms of networking groups that are mixed gender, what would you say the difference is in terms of how women behave, or can you even speak to that in a mixed gender networking setting?
It is really quite fascinating to watch. We do have a different persona. I think we're a little bit more vulnerable with each other when we are among women only. And as much as we love our guys and we love networking with men and other businessmen around the community, there's a certain lack of We're more relaxed with each other, I think, than we are when we are networking with men. Doesn't mean it's not fun. It doesn't mean it's not useful. But I think we're a little bit more relaxed with each other when we're just among women.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. And for the younger people or the people who are maybe thinking about getting into business, what kind of support is there support offered for them? I mean, if say somebody's thinking about starting their own business or they maybe need a connection to get a job, is this a place where they would feel welcome?
Oh, absolutely. I think above all, we are great resources for each other. We have, just as you and I met, Jackie, some weeks ago, I meet women of all ages from all different industries every single week. And we all need something, whether it's just moral support or whether it's, access to a CPA, or maybe we need a marketer, or any number of things that a woman in business needs to get started or to sustain her business. And we all have connections. So the community of women that are in ConnectW are incredibly supportive and resourceful when we are connecting to each other and for each other.
So I'm thinking too, product becomes so much better when people are working together. Efforts appear to be stronger and more productive when people are working together. Is that kind of the foundation of what you're hoping to do, is bringing people together for support?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we may be very well tagged as a networking group, but there's just so much more. I often talk to the membership about the fact that there are so many different reasons to be a part of this kind of a women's only community. You're either there to socialize, you're there to find leads, you're there for referral partners, you might be there to find a resource. All of those reasons are incredibly valid. And regardless of what we might start out with, the idea that we might start out with why I'm part of ConnectW, inevitably we end up mixing all of those relevant and very valuable aspects of networking so that we're getting far more out of it than we ever suspected we would.
I can see, that's what synergy is all about,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah. A question that I had, I remember I worked at the college with a women's program, and at one point I had a gentleman come in and say, I want to be part of that group. Do you ever have that happen?
Yes. In fact, it happened just recently. We have a very strong relationship, by the way, with the Chamber of Commerce of Bend. And they are incredibly supportive. They're just a magnificent organization. And during a recent Commerce and Coffee that we had over at the Work Collective, one of the gentlemen approached me and said, "Okay, so what kind of programs do you have available for men to get involved with ConnectW?" And I didn't have anything off the cuff to tell him about that because we're still kind of formulating those ideas. But I do want to make that available to our gentlemen business owners in the region to help support the women in their lives and the women in their businesses.
Good.
You know what I enjoyed about it? It's so interesting because I've lived in Bend, 15 years, and just recently discovered it. Somebody had, at another event I went to, had mentioned it. And what I enjoyed was the socialization. I made a couple of friends, just from the luncheon. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I've been here so long and, just started in terms of connecting with people. It was more than a business connect. It was a socializing connect. So I imagine people who are new to the community could even seek it out for that purpose. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it is amazing how different it is, how different it feels for a woman to connect with another businesswoman. And we don't necessarily even, we're not necessarily cognizant that we need that kind of support, but to be able to network and socialize with another businesswoman, someone who has, a mission, basically, to drive her business or to drive her interest. It is so warm and welcoming to be able to share that with another woman and to have that moral support.
And encouragement.
Yeah. Indeed.
I want to speak to are trans women. I mean, are they welcome? LGBTQ is there any?
Oh, absolutely. During my term, which is only about 7 months old at this point, I've really tried to emphasize diversity within our group, and we've been blessed, absolutely, with a larger diversity joining our organization over the past year, particularly. One thing that I haven't mentioned, frankly, is sponsorship levels, and we have a growing sponsorship base in our organization, and that's what drives a lot of our diversity, interestingly enough. So, yes, absolutely, we are here to embrace transgender, LGBTQ. We are open to all of that, absolutely.
Well, that's great. And just again, tell us some of the business owners and entrepreneurs. What types? You mentioned naturopaths, insurance, CPAs. What other kind of? If you could think of an interesting story, what would that be?
That's the fascinating part. Just when I think that we've probably reached the maximum of our diversity of industries, someone else joins the group or it gets curious about the group that I thought, okay, I didn't know that even existed. But we have birth doulas. We have women who are opening new recreational facilities or gyms, fitness centers. We have physical therapists. We have direct sales consultants who are part of our group. And all of this diversity, Jackie, makes us so much more strong because if we were constantly networking in our same industries, we would be hearing some of the same problems and the same nuances and the same ideas over and over again. But that diversity really broadens the overall network and the aspects of all of our businesses, because we will look at someone else's issue or their solution to an issue and think, okay, how can I make that happen for me? How can I use that information to improve my own business or my own ability to run my business? So it's absolutely fascinating what that diversity of industries really brings to the overall fabric, if you will, of the organization.
Well, Ginger Weeden, thank you so much for coming on. In the next minute and 30 seconds we have, tell us how people can find out more about ConnectW.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that, Jackie. The best way to look at our programming, whether it's a socialization opportunity like Munch and Mingle, or whether it is our monthly dinner meeting, is to go to our website, ConnectW.org. We are a 501c6 organization, which means that we are there to support our community of members and to grow our membership, certainly. So ConnectW.org is the best way to get the most current information.
Well, thank you so much, Ginger, for joining us.
You've been listening to a KPOV Critical Conversation. To hear more engaging interviews on important topics, please visit kpov.org/criticalconversations.